Let me explain to you the problem with a show like Last Week Tonight, which, let me get out of the way, it's an entertaining show. It's funny, it's well produced. I've watched almost every episode. I understand why people get excited about the show, why it's shared a lot on social media, why people feel good watching it. Because there's lots of stuff, there's lots of information in the episodes. And it goes around at a fast clip. Guy talks at length. All these things are appealing to people who are probably craving more in-depth analysis, insight, explanations, more truth in the media. It's almost as if it was designed to hit all those buttons in people. But here's the thing. It's not a real news show. And what's real sad is trying to talk about this to anybody, friends, strangers, the internet, just almost anybody, except for people that are hardcore right wingers. That, and personally, I'm a left wing. I'm a center left guy. I'm a liberal. I have liberal values, but not liberal logic. So that's how I put it. And sometimes I like to talk about my opinions on things, but often they're the opposite of someone like John Oliver. Because you know what a lot of left wing people, what a common trait in us are, is that now we understand how, at least I do, how small businesses are important, how creators, for example, musicians, podcasts, whatever, the stuff in the new media, stuff like that Google and Facebook have kind of monopolized, how they're awesome. They're a way for people to circumvent the middleman, this gatekeeper to which is a corporate thing. Those are producers. They only, because in the regular traditional media, which is in America owned by six companies total, I believe primarily Disney, Comcast, Viacom, Time Warner. I don't know the other two, whatever, they probably don't matter. These are the last people anyone should trust. At least Disney, they stick to Star Wars nonsense and theme parks, and their pure Disney Channel is just Winnie the Pooh, being a crackhead about his honey jar. That's all cute, but Viacom, Time Warner, even Comcast with MSNBC nowadays, which is, I can't even watch it online without a cable subscription. These things are they're corporate. And as a left-wing person myself, not radical left-wing, because radical anything ends up being filled with hate and terror stuff, I don't trust it. I don't trust it. Single thing. I think they're all the people that get up in the biz doing this stuff. Odds are they only got as big as they have because they're making deals that someone like Dave Chappelle, for example, would probably end up walking away from once his ethics, his morals, his sense of self, his dignity, and thinking of the consequences of what his show, on his comedy show, was having its impact on society. Now, a lot of people didn't understand why Dave Chappelle walked away from the third season renewal. It was before he went to film the third season of the Chappelle show. Comedy Central offered him something, I don't know, like $40 million, some huge extravagant number, just for a 1-year extension. Whatever it was, I believe it was the biggest offer in cable history. And he walked away from it, and he just quit his show when he was the most popular person on the TV screen. And he went to Africa for three years and didn't talk to anybody, didn't explain what he was doing. People still don't understand. People forgot that he exists by now, probably. But I looked into it. I just looked it up on Wikipedia for the most part. And he was trying to do stand-up acts, and people were just saying, fuck your couch, nigga, and shit like, I'm Rick James, bitch, over and over again. It made me think, this made him very frustrated. And it made me think how lots of people I knew, my friends, they were just driving around their car yelling, dropping N-bombs left and right at white people, black people, didn't matter. People just talked in Dave Chappelle quotes that are, they all were making fun of black. These were all white people. It starts to sound very degrading towards, poor black people, which I bet Dave Chappelle grew up probably in an environment like that. I'm not sure his life story. He probably knows family or friends that are, that smoke crack or something like that, or, or crazy. What a lot of comedians do is they draw from real life experiences and then they make it a little crazy. So it's not just some real depressing story about someone who smokes crack and walks on coals and can't feel pain, and he's crazy and he sleeps on worms and doesn't care, or stuff like that. Imagine someone doing that in real life and just being in jail all the time and eventually ODing or being being a drug addict. It's not funny in real life. But when a comedian tries to handle something like this, then they're able to talk about this stuff, say it's real. People are homeless, people are crazy, people smoke crack. It makes them stupid as shit, but if we laugh about it, then we can talk about it. That's the entire point of a lot of comedy, especially from the New York area. A lot of this apparently is a very strong it's a Jewish tradition. People like, for example, Jerry Seinfeld and Larry David, they work together to make Seinfeld, which is, I believe just about everyone knows that show is full of real life stuff. It's full of truth, but done in a funny way. It's just bringing light to stuff. It's just wacky, but honest. And people can relate to it. That's why it was so successful. It was the most successful show of all time. But nowadays, Jerry Seinfeld is banned from college campuses. Why? Because he's not funny anymore? I don't know. He's one of the most successful comedians to ever live. He's probably a funny guy. You don't just stop being funny. But people have now corrected each other. That's political correctness, thought policing, that he was never funny to begin with. He's just outdated. He's not allowed. Him, Chris Rock, a lot of these comedians have just given up. Jewish, black comedians, I always notice, they draw from this kind of repertoire, from this soulful life experience thing, that they're just making fun of stuff directly, and not just white people. They don't just say white people are racist and men are rapists, for example. They do lots of stuff and it's funny. They're all funny people. They're comedians. That's what comedians used to do. But now those people are, they're not PC. Basically, everyone admits that, don't they? However, someone like Trevor Noah, who apparently his Twitter account was full of anti-Semitic slurs and stuff. He got yanked out of South Africa, put on the Comedy Central studio, given the Daily Show desk. But none of that applies to him because, they like what he's saying, because he's just calling Republicans the worst names every day, just and over and over again. He's probably be the first minute. His first episode, he's like, well, I don't know anything about America. But I think I figured it out. Let's talk about how the Republicans suck and how your country's racist. Because, South Africa, no racism, no one's racist there. There's no violence, there's no crime. There's nothing wrong there, but, let's just compare your country to it and say it's worse. That's really obnoxious. And, it's not because he's just learned so much so fast. It's because he's reading off a teleprompter, just like John Oliver, Stephen Colbert, all these people. Maybe they write some of their own material. I'm sure they just don't. Jon Stewart himself said, "I just don't have time to do all that anymore," because his show was winning a lot of Emmys back in 2004. He was going to. It seemed like it was a very honest show. It was a very American show. He got he's a liberal guy from New Jersey. So am I. I'm a liberal from New Jersey. I'm not Jewish. I'm Polish. But people always think I'm Jewish. Maybe I'm hidden Jew. I always just admired people like Jon Stewart. I thought they were funny and they had their heart in the right place. But I think that people saw it in his eyes, in just the way that show started going after a while. It was just all became about Fox News every day. The guy got like a bullseye on Glenn Beck's face and just started mocking him all the time, calling him crazy, trying to do character assassination on every Fox News personality. It started seeming real mean-spirited, and a lot of the heart, the soul of it left. It became a corporate seeming show. It was just a corporate brand. I heard Jon Stewart say a few times he didn't have the time to be involved in the creative process so much anymore. He was grooming lots of other people. I guess this is why there's so many fake news shows now. This and that, he was a producer and a host. Not exactly a writer or anything, like that, whatever. But he's a comedian. He's just telling jokes. But looking back, not too long ago, 6 months ago, when he left the show, just the media narrative everywhere was saying, Jon Stewart, the most trusted man on television, we'll miss him. Who can we trust now? I guess, I'm just thinking to myself, wait, I thought someone like Jon Stewart would be going around telling people, no, don't trust me. I'm a comedian. I'm not telling the news. I'm not getting, that's why people thought he was going to be on CBS. He's going to do 60 Minutes, meet the press, or stuff like this, all this. They thought he should be winning Pulitzer Prizes. But he's a comedian, so that's why he didn't do any of that stuff. He directed a movie. Now he has a beard. He looks kind of half crazy. He was never a newsman, but it started out as a pretty inspired satirical show. But the inspiration and the satire kind of went away a while ago. And now people don't seem to be able to tell the difference between the news and fake news. And I've said this a bunch of times, and people just tune it out. They're conditioned to respond like Pavlovian dogs, like Pavlov's dogs, with hating me, thinking I'm crazy. But I'm none of these things. I'm just a left-wing person who is very suspicious of things like corporate media or forced narratives. And I'm a writer. I studied journalism in college and stuff, and when I pick up on media trends, the narrative being the same everywhere, headlines bouncing around the same within seconds, all these different publications like with Ben Carson, stuff like that. It's in the Daily Show, the Larry Wilmore show last week tonight, late night with Stephen Colbert. All these things sound just like New York Times headlines, Politico, Salon, a million other, the Young Turks, God knows what else, BuzzFeed, Gawker, So it's a mix of these real. It's just the media. That's what the media is now. There's not a lot of honesty or integrity. Probably because it's all so corporate. There's some. I like BBC Radio. I like a lot of podcasters like Dan Carlin. I admire Sam Harris for just still being out there wherever they let him talk. I was telling a friend about him recently that Sam Harris, I like his stuff a lot, and I think a lot like him, and I hope I can get some of his fans. And my friend just exploded saying he's an Islamophobe, this and that, just raging at me. I was like, what the fuck? They just calm down. The dude just writes books and does science, and he comments on the social commentary. But he's a neuroscientist. He's not just a comedian. So, he writes his own stuff. He writes books. Just why are you so mad about it? God damn. But, and then, all the hate about this guy. But someone like John Oliver, who, he looks weird. He always talked about how no one in England liked him. Though, just the only reason he came here was because the Daily Show gave him a shot. Jon Stewart hired him. I understand he admires and respects Jon Stewart a lot. But both these guys are comedians telling jokes about the news. Nothing else. Just because, John, you know what happened? John Oliver got good ratings. His ratings didn't plummet when he took over the Daily Show for a couple months. So then HBO said, well, this guy can have his own show because people trust him or whatever. They think he's funny. I guess. He reads the teleprompter all funny. So he got his own show, and has a lot of Daily Show writers, and but who knows who's writing the scripts there. I was very suspicious when the last week tonight went to Moscow. Literally went, because one thing that's been bothering me is propaganda, which is not just bias in the media. It's a lot more sinister than that. But propaganda, RT, that's Russian propaganda, state propaganda. Like, it's not a secret. It's Russian government-owned media. Like, whatever, it's just the Russians for you. But John Oliver, he flew to Moscow, went to the hotel prison that Edward Snowden, and I've looked up Edward Snowden recently. He hasn't left that. He thought he was a hero for America. He was upholding the Constitution, that he believed in freedom. But he didn't think twice when he realized because someone probably gave him the idea to do what he did. That's always what happens. Someone whispered in his ear or dropped a note on the floor and said, check this, 2 + 2 isn't 5, or some shit to him. And his magical adventure of freedom ended up in a room in a dark hotel in Moscow, right next to the Kremlin. That's probably all he can see out of his window. And I looked him up. He's just told that he can't ever leave it. He's there. He has a lawyer speak for him as well, saying Edward Snowden's doing great. He has temporary residency in Moscow. Well, he could probably get it renewed in 6 months. He's still applying for permanent legal status or rights in some other country. We'll keep you informed. Just every 6 months this comes out. Meanwhile, he's probably being waterboarded with vodka by a bunch of Russians. But he's probably Vladimir Putin himself probably goes there and just says, "Fuck you, you traitor! You thought you'd be the hero of America. Now you're the rat of Moscow. You betrayed America. No one's ever going to accept you, piece of you garbage, you rat, you scum." Just putting cigarettes on him. I swear to God, he's probably getting treated like that. Because that's what he would get treated like if he came here. He'd probably even worse. He'd be in Guantanamo Bay. It's a terrorist. But John Oliver ended up being the one guy, the one trustworthy enough guy to do the real reporting that America needs, to be reminded of this traitor who compromised tons of bullshit. So he goes to Moscow, goes to the hotel room, and then they're just trying to talk. So who knows how much of this is scripted? And John Oliver's just giving a funny face, like, oh, you sound stupid as shit. He's just making fun of his face as well. Why? How about you talk about your treasonous acts of national intelligence, compromising security operations? How about you explain it with talking about dick pics? Because Americans are too stupid to understand why you're a hero. Why you, Edward Snowden, the rat of Moscow, stuck in this hotel prison. Why they should like you and remember you forever as a savior of liberty. How about you make it talk in dick pic metaphors? Because that's the only thing stupid Americans can understand. Tweeting out their dick about this, blah blah blah, and, laughter. Then all the headlines. Wow, John Oliver reminds America of the greatness of Edward Snowden, live from the Kremlin. And I'm just thinking to myself, my God, you can tell this isn't a real news show, because I don't think they would all have too much integrity to do anything that he was doing. However, real news shows don't get 10, 15 million views on YouTube each week, don't get covered in the press everywhere as must-watch, epic ownage of whatever. This is just messed up. It's supposed to be a comedy show, and for one, I don't find trips to Moscow interview, these fucking traitors that even Obama won't stand. I mean, that's when some guy fucked up bad. When even Barack Obama thinks he's an enemy of the state, the guy won't even condemn ISIS that strongly or anything. But John Oliver, as scrupulous as he is, I guess, he's all up on that. He's all, he makes me wonder who set this up. Because, flying right, getting a whole press crew flown into Moscow for American television, right outside the Kremlin, to interview Edward Snowden, a wanted enemy of the state, basically. And, I think most news organizations would go there, set this up as a troll, and then have some fucking CIA, FBI guy handcuff Edward Snowden and say, all right, your hotel tortured, your vacation, your salon stay here is over. You're going to America to face the music, you fucking scumbag. I bet everyone, this is what they should have done. But I guess it's useful for the Russians to have that guy, to not let that happen, because then you can just, maybe next season there'll be another interview. It's because it's a propaganda victory for the Russians to have this American hater stuck there forever, to do their bidding. Just like there's a British reporter who was kidnapped by ISIS. I forget his name, but you can look him up on YouTube. His buddy was one of the beheading victims. And then this British news reporter, now he has to go in a car and he drives around ISIS land, around like Raqqa, and then he talks about how wonderful ISIS is and how everyone's so happy. There's like 3 or 4 videos. He's trying to look as natural as he can. I feel real bad for this guy because, if he goes off script for a second saying anything bad about ISIS, they're going to behead him like he watched his buddy get beheaded. That's what propaganda is. They make people say shit they don't believe in, so it gets broadcasted out to influence public opinion. But the fact that these ISIS people beheaded this British journalist friend, and now this guy is just get riding shotgun around this Syria and Iraq, talking about how great life is now. That is very fucked up. It's very dishonest. It reminds me of something I bet John Oliver would take that gig in a second, though, he'd gladly go around ISIS and tell and report for Americans how much better ISIS is than I don't know, New Jersey. Probably that'd probably be the gimmick they run with. So, I don't know what people's problem is with being more critical of these guys, because I mean, it's bizarre stuff like that. Or more recently on the Daily Show, when they got told that they couldn't go to, was it Idaho or Iowa? Can't tell the difference. That they weren't getting press credentials to the Republican National Convention there, because they said, you admit yourself you're not a news program, you're a comedy show. All you're gonna do is just rip us apart, and we don't want that. You'll do anti-Iowan propaganda against us. Fucking assholes, get the fuck press credentials denied. I understand that. The Daily Show's gotten very, very mean lately. It's not fair or honest. It's not fair and balanced or anything like that. So, I don't know why people laugh. This is really when I decided the fake news has gone too far, is when the response to this, the Daily Show had that lanky white fucker, the one of the only guys who didn't jump ship, and Trevor Noah going back and forth, just saying that all the people in this state, all these Americans, that they have, well, you thought we would say that you all have diabetes, that you're all obese, that you all have heart disease, that you're all stupid, that you all just chug cow's milk from the udder and rub cheese all over your bodies, that you're fat, disgusting, stupid, retarded, ignorant, uneducated, dumb, fat, stupid Americans. That's what all you, and like the audience is laughing at all this. Like, they just hate this hate mongering. Hate, it's what it is. Hate speech about this fucking state for because they didn't get press credentials, because they're not the press, they're a comedy show. And I was watching this and I just said, okay, I can't watch this anymore. Why people are laughing in the audience. I don't know, you'll get a shock of electricity if they don't laugh, probably. That's how, that's classical conditioning. But it's all really, really hateful, with the whole dig being that all Republicans are like this, that half of America is retarded, that, you're the people watching the Daily Show are the demographic of the good Americans, and all the other ones, the people who wouldn't gladly welcome these hate mongers into their political committee thing, which is supposed to be about what's best for their state, real issues, which president seems to care the most. Not that's what they care about. They just don't want the negative attention that something like a corporate fake news show that seems to really have it out for Republicans, no matter what now. And they were just eviscerated by a bunch of fucking shills, corporate shills. And I really thought, wow, I've never seen something more unethical out of the Daily Show than this bullshit. I bet when Jon Stewart was an executive producer of the show, he probably would have said, that's too far. Let's just stick to Fox News. At least they can take a joke, because they have Bill O'Reilly doing the same shit back to me every once in a while. And we get along. So, don't stick it to random Iowans, calling them diabetic. They can't defend themselves in the media. We are the media. That's one thing. I don't know. I have the feeling maybe Jon Stewart would have said something like that, but he's not there anymore. He's gone. So it's just and then all his apostles they're not producers. They didn't work their way up like Jon Stewart did. They were just given scripts and told, be funny, act like, you know what to do, like he taught you. And man, it's not even that funny. It's just, there's a laugh track. But my main problem with all this stuff, it's the corporate aspect. Your corporate, it's just corporate humor, corporate jokes, corporate channels, expensive cable, Viacom, Time Warner, Comcast. They're the last things that they usually don't have America's best interest in mind. They care about money. They're a corporation. And I thought that liberals hated corporations and blamed them for a lot of the issues, like, Occupy Wall Street and, stuff like that. We are the 99%, fuck the 1%ers. You know who the 1% is, and who does their bidding the most? The media, because that's how they influence public opinion to one way or another. Usually for some greedy bullshit reasons, because corporations are bad. But that means more than the Koch brothers. The Koch brothers are individually rich, but their assets do not really compare to a Viacom, to a Time Warner, to a Comcast. These are global, transnational media conglomerates that have more influence than anyone realizes. And it's not a coincidence that they're the ones who employ all these fake newsmen to give a certain political spin on every story, and all these people trust it, and the media is an echo chamber that bounces back the fake news as real news. And this is one of the reasons why people are confused about things like ISIS, because the fake newsmen don't really seem to ever have an opinion on something like ISIS or national security, because, that's being tied with Islamophobia. So people are conditioned to respond to anything about the Middle East, just basic facts about Syria. They respond with, what they respond with? With stuff like what the Daily Show was saying about that state, about Idaho, I still forget. They just get all this hateful. It's bundled in with the jokes on the fake news, and when anything that runs contrary to the narrative set here gets introduced into their brain, it's a trigger. They're triggered to respond with hate, rage, fear, anxiety, confusion. They just don't understand. They just don't understand. And it's easy to let this stuff start warping your thinking when all the hateful or ignorant or one-sided, extremely biased, going to Moscow to interview a wanted enemy of the state, or hearing an American be just ripped apart for obesity and diabetes and this stuff. It's easy to let that stuff slip in your mind if it's being told to you by a guy who's smiling, who you can trust. And it really, it makes it really tough for people to think for themselves when there's so much of this going on. And, I subscribe to, I follow left and right wing stuff, especially on Facebook. I make sure I have a very well-rounded Facebook feed, and I usually just assess the headlines, and it's not a surprise that so many of the liberal headlines are always exactly on point, and they're all, once again, I'll have to clarify, I'm a left-wing person, and a lot of the right-wing stuff is as bad, if not worse, but it's more marginalized. It's not so accepted to say that all Muslims are horrible people and stuff, though that's catching on too. That's literally becoming Donald Trump's gimmick, who is a proud New York liberal Democrat media guy himself. He gets the game. That's why he hosted SNL. All these people are condemning Donald Trump, but they let him host. But, NBC, Comcast, they let him host SNL because he gets good ratings. It's, that means money. That means ad money. It's Facebook, Google, this stuff is just ads, money. It's corrupt. And you know what powers that be, the forces that play, when they're a bunch of corrupt corporate fuckers, what they realize the people like, they like having an enemy. That's always been how the media, how nationalism, how people's identities, how mass media, how the propaganda machines, how what they operate on. They operate with an enemy in mind, a target, because nothing rallies the populace to a flag like someone to hate. You know, I've always found propaganda war posters and stuff to be very interesting to look at. Just, you know, there's just so much bundled hate in them, usually with some positive spin saying that your country's good, this country sucks. You know, that's a major asset of propaganda. The thing is, we could be doing this all about ISIS, and it wouldn't be Islamophobic, because, you know, 99% of the people ISIS kills are Muslims. Muslims hate ISIS. Some are being drawn in by the allure of ISIS propaganda, saying they are Muslims. But trust me, there's no place in the Quran that says it's okay to suicide bomb, kill people overseas and shit. That's not anything real. That's a corruption of you know, of God, of Allah. But people are conditioned to think that any of this stuff this is just Islamophobia, and then the other side starts thinking, okay, fuck them, fuck all Muslims, fuck Islam, you know, because now their enemy is here, is the all Americans refusing to discuss this, the president that seems so naive and so quick to apologize for America about Islamic terrorism, doesn't even say the words, which I understand why, but you know, I just don't understand this, really. Well, I do, it's just because it doesn't make as much money, I guess. People hear about the military-industrial complex making all the money, but no, what makes a lot of money now is the fake news complex, social media, advertising, you know, just hits. Turn that off. So, what was I gonna say? So, you know, instead of having someone like ISIS or, you know, fucking the Russians to have everyone rally around and say fuck them, what the vast majority of the media is, and I know this because I am, once again, I'm a left-wing guy, I'm a liberal. So it's stuff I used to trust, I guess. I don't know. It's just I read it a lot. Or I did. I still read it. I just think of it differently because I keep expecting something not to be so fucked up. The enemy is Republicans, not ISIS, not terrorism, not fucking communist Russia under a Putinocracy, not anything like this. It's the Republicans, and you know, it really needs to stop. Because, you know, when you have a fake newsman with a laugh track looking in your eyes telling you, oh, every problem's because of the Republicans over and over again, and just ignoring everything else. That's why people I know, they start trying to say, oh, you know, ISIS is a CIA invention, which, I mean, that's what the Russians say about everything. It's supposed to be a joke to them, basically. It's like, I mean, it's just a fucking comedy act. Yeah, it's a CIA conspiracy. Moon landing CIA, vaccine CIA, drug CIA, terrorism CIA. But people are in such an echo chamber of hearing that Republicans suck almost as the theme of everything in the media, all the content they digest mentally, that no, there's more to the world than than what America has done wrong. And if you think that terrorism, ISIS, the Syrian civil war, if you actually believe that all of that can be blamed on George W. Bush and the Republicans and all Republicans to come, then my friend, you really need to turn off the fake news and, just type in any of these conflicts, any of these issues into Wikipedia, and you'll get bombarded with facts. Because now last week tonight might bombard you with stuff, but most of it is jokes. It's not meant to inform you, it's meant to entertain you. And if you end up having your opinion changed on something, or if you learn something from it, you're really doing yourself a vast disservice to your intellectual integrity, to your mind, if you don't continue on from what last week tonight talked about. You don't Google it, and don't even Google it. Fuck Google. Just type it into Wikipedia, whatever the issue was, and get some perspective. I do this with just about everything. Trust me, if you like learning, if you like being informed, and you wish more things were like last week tonight in their nature, Wikipedia is just a never-ending last week tonight episode about literally everything, except there's no one, except it's not controlled by fucking corporate. It's not corporate nonsense that it's probably there just to fuck with your mind somehow at the end of the day, in order to keep getting money off people. Because ignorance is strength or whatever. There's just so much to talk about, but the media's not doing it. The podcasts are, but that's about it. And, podcasts are awesome, but a lot of people don't even know what a podcast is, or they just care about video games or some nonsense. So, you listen to this long, thank you. I don't do stuff any longer than the last week tonight episode, but I just now have the flashy lights and everything. Once again, I like these shows. Not the Daily Show anymore. They're funny, but they're not smart. They are not the news. And, no one... I just keep expecting different out of the media. It's a folly. It's a fool's errand, I guess, but the media is broken. So is Congress. So is the Middle East. So is our president's decision-making skills. One thing that should never be the way it is, that shouldn't be broken, it should always be resoundingly strong, is America, and the virtue of its people, in that you're not supposed to trust shit on the TV. You're supposed to think America's got it all figured out. We're the best country ever. We are. Trust me, I've read about them all. I've read lots of history. America is unique and something special. Where that comes from is our people, our citizenry, the way our Constitution's set up, our universities, how informed people are, the ability to start your own business, to just speak truth to power about whatever you want. Those are all the greatest strengths of America, because most places on earth, even today, you don't have freedom like America does. And the last thing that you should learn about America from is some guy who's not American, who has a show on premium cable, and it's all just talking about America's problems without even consulting any experts ever, or policy or analysis or anything except their opinion, straight up. Because even if it's funny, it's not making you think smarter. It's just making you think whatever they're telling you to think. Trust me on that. And that's not good for you. It's not good for democracy. It's not good for, anything. It's not good for anyone. It's not good for all these Syrians that are refugees now because of the war, because it's a never-ending war that people don't even understand what or why it's happening. A lot of people just blame America for it. America had nothing, but I don't remember America ever invading Syria, but that doesn't matter, does it? So, America, you don't have to turn off the fake news. I can't even follow any news anymore. It's just all so stupid. But this should be, I don't know why everyone doesn't hold this truth to be self-evident the way I have my whole life. It posed me a lot of problems, but it's kept me smart. Think for yourself and question everything. Thank you, and God bless America.